I sort of have the feeling that this reading wrap-up video could be the shortest one that I film in the year of 2025. I really think it has the potential. Hello friends, happy Friday. It is the first Friday of a new month, so I am talking about all the manga that I read in the previous month, which was really low. I estimated that I read about 16 volumes. When I share the first thing I read, you'll see why I'm saying estimated, I think, because I'm not quite sure since it was a digital manga that I was reading, and I really don't know how the physical volumes were broken up, or will be broken up, I should say, but despite the low number, it was a really good month of reading. I was recovering from sickness, got sick in February, and my oldest had oral surgery, so it was just sort of a chaotic month in general. Also, my birthday was last month as well, and had such a blast. It was such a wonderful time. Thank you again for everybody who was celebrating with me. I hope that if you checked out this video that you really enjoyed it, as it was very long, but I had a great time flipping through magazines, doing unboxings. It was a great time. It was a really special birthday, so thank you friends for help making that special. But talking about today, in the manga that I read, I didn't read any manhwa except for one. This is not the one I was going to start out with, but we'll go ahead, and that is the Remarried Empress, and I read chapters 198 to 201. I feel bad because I have been really slacking on my webtoons, like a lot. I haven't, I was reading Maybe Meant to Be, the Dragon King's Bride, the Remarried Empress, and there was like another one. Oh, My Boss Doesn't Have a Face. And I feel like I was doing really good keeping up with all of them. I love them all, but I just didn't keep up with them except for the Remarried Empress. But I don't remember the first two chapters that I read because I told myself, I was like, I will at least read one chapter before February ends just so I could talk about it in this video, because the latest arc has been something else. And I will say that these last few chapters, not the latest one, but Henry's actions is probably the first time that I was really upset with him. I'm like, boy, I get why you're doing what you're doing, but I'm like, you need to be there for Navier. Navier is struggling. She needs you. And I'm like, you were not there for her, and I'm not appreciating it. Now that's changed with the latest episode I did read, and I'm feeling better about things. The character development growth that's been in Navier since the beginning has been incredible. So very good. I am very curious where things are going to go with the Emperor, because I thought he was having some change of heart. I was like, oh, I'm really proud of you, buddy. Try to think if I can word this without going to spoilers, because something very traumatic happened to him, and now he's sort of stuck in this time loop, for the lack of a better word, but it's mental. He cannot understand because he sort of reverted back in, again, mentally in time to when he was with Navier. They were happily married, and he can't understand why the future, or present him, divorced Navier. He does not get that. So yeah, he's gonna go confront Navier to see if he can get his memories restored and be back to normal. And I thought, because of all the bashing he did of, future Emperor self, I was like, man, I'm like, yes, we are vibing right now, but I never thought I'd ever say that, but we're vibing. I'm loving how your past self in his mind is calling out what the future you did and how dumb you were. Like, yes, we love it. We love it. We love to see your past self think your future self was dumb, because you are, buddy. I don't understand why he did even a fraction of the things that he did. But then, yeah, again, the previous or past episode, his facial expression told me he learned nothing. And I'm really upset. I'm really upset because he's learning about what he did and everything. And I'm like, I thought he'd be a little bit different. No. At the heart, he's still himself. So to be determined of what unfolds, because I don't know what's going to go down. So that was the only manhwa I read last month. And it was really weird filling out the monthly template that I do of like what was my favorite read for that month. I have a manga version and a manhwa version. I was like, I don't really have anything because this is all that I read, which still counts, but it's not a full volume, so I didn't count anything. But let's rewind and let's talk about some of the digital manga that I did read. I'm not going to go in depth about it, but I did read Magical Girl Dandelion, because who isn't reading that? You know what I mean? And if you haven't read it, you need to pause this video and go read it. It's amazing. It's so good. Phenomenal. I talk about it in every manga news video, so I don't really feel that I need to like do a full review here because I always unintentionally do reviews there. Also, continue to read In So Deep It's Love Already. I think it was chapter 28. I'm not vibing with this older brother. I was like, nope, nope. I'm not vibing with him. Love where things are going, but not with that older brother. Like, he needs to get out the picture, please. And I mean that respectfully, because he is helping our female lead, helping her get into college with her boyfriend. That's great stuff. But, anything else? No. No, it's not. But the very first thing that I read, and I guess technically was the only digital manga, is Girl Crush chapters 1 through 20. I'm not really sure how much for 20 chapters, if that would be 1 volume. I feel like it'd be more than 1 volume. But if that'd be like 2, 3 volumes, 4 volumes, I don't know. That was why I had an estimated rough count of how many I read. I have been putting off Girl Crush for a long time. And I will say, I do have a manga news video where I did a mini review of my thoughts because it was very fresh at that time. So maybe I won't go too in depth about it, but I knew it, y'all. I called it and I said it in that video. I said I knew, past me knew. Because I've seen a lot of people, even before the license happened, say how good Girl Crush is. And they're like, if you need a sports shoujo manga, this is probably it. Even though it's about idols, like, you're probably gonna love this. And I was like, Laura, they're talking to you. You're probably gonna love it. And you know something? I did. I did love it. And you know what else happened? I want to pre-order it now, and I was not planning that in my budget to get it a physical manga like this. I was not. I actually even came back to this manga just, last night? Or not last night, but the night before, to see, Laura, did you really love this as much as you thought you did? And the answer was yes. I would say for volume 1, I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars, but I feel like the second volume took off, hooked, and invested. When I was going back to that chapter 1 the other night, felt like I was coming home, so to speak. I was really excited. I feel like my heart has been longing for some sports shoujo manga, and I really feel like this is going to fill a need. This is not under the Shoujo Beat imprint, but I have been assured and told and have seen that it is a shoujo manga. I would say if you're looking for a sports shoujo and you don't want it to be romance focused, this is a great one. Also, if you're looking for idols / singers, like, this has a really interesting premise in that the female lead, I'm blanking on her name right now, she really didn't aim to be a singer from the beginning of the manga. Like, she just didn't. It wasn't until she meets her rival, and I say rival because the guy she likes, the female lead, this other girl, this rival, the guy has a crush on her. And the female lead is like, I'm going to crush you in all these other ways. Make it look subtle, make it look passive aggressive. She ends up sort of adopting her rival's dream to become an idol because her rival, that's all she wants to be. And the funny thing is, this girl, this rival, is so sweet. She has no idea that she is the female lead's rival. I really actually like that dynamic. But that's what made it very interesting, is that the female lead, it's not necessarily a revenge story, but she's like, if you're trying to take my man, she doesn't say like that, but she's, you're trying to take this man that I deeply care for, this young man I love, well, I'm going to take everything away from you. I'm going to be a better singer, be a better dancer, and do better in every single area so that you can sort of taste defeat. But yet here's the female lead going to Korea with her rival here to see if she can be an idol too. And it is awesome. And it was awesome. It was really good. I just didn't expect that. And where I stopped, I was like, this is getting really intense. Like, it's true. It really does read like a sports manga, even though there's no sports. I mean, I guess you could definitely say dancing is a sport because I love seeing her train. I love seeing her dance. Sense of movement is very strong and very powerful. Gives me a little bit of Wand Dance vibes in that sense. I haven't read Wand Dance, so I can't really say how they relate or anything, but you definitely can feel the movement, feeling these dances unfold. I'm very excited to see where it goes. I told myself I had to stop there, but I did not want to stop reading at chapter 20, y'all. I wanted to keep going, but I was like, I want to read fresh content in the physical manga. So yes, I'm getting it. That was not planned. That was not something I, again, had in my budget to be doing, but I made sure the other night when I was going through my pre-orders, I was like, we're making space. We're making space. So let's go in and talk about the physical manga we read. I'm not thrilled. This is the very first one I'm talking about because this was one of my least favorite reads for this month, and you're probably going to be shocked when I tell you what it is, and that's volume 4 of Daily Report About My Witch Senpai. I have loved the first 3 volumes. I even have a video review of the first 2. This is one of the most reread manga in my collection, and this is a time where my expectations, they set me up, and it did not help me. I came in thinking this was going to be just as fluffy as the first 3 volumes. Yes, I know that in volume 1 and 2, with that ex-boyfriend, there are a little bit of deeper themes or topics talked about and how he treats her. So it's not all fluff. Maybe after saying that, I should have prepared for something like that, but I felt volume 3 was pure fluff. I was thriving. I was loving it. It was perfection. And so I thought I was going to get the same thing in volume 4, and that wasn't quite what happened. Do we have the fluffy moments? Yes. Yes, we do. The thing I wasn't really excited about is I feel like our female girl is trying to bridge the gap between her boyfriend and his mom. I think that's a wonderful thing. And I think if I just hadn't expected this to be such a fluffy volume, I think I would have been fine. I really do feel like that, because it's definitely not a bad volume. I just came for one thing, got something else. I know full well, because I'm not getting rid of it. Definitely not. I know full well that I just need to come back to another time with the right proper expectation, knowing that this has the fluffy moments I wanted, but it has some harder hitting moments of, especially about his like past. There was one thing he did that I was so mad, and I'm like, bro, you can't be saying things like this. Like, I get that things are hard, but no, we never say that. We never talk about things like that. So I was really upset with him, but things were quickly resolved, and it was okay. Definitely be getting the next volume, for sure, but I do want to come back to this at a later time, have that different mindset, and I definitely know I'm going to love it so much more because I'll know what to expect and all of that. Now, one of the reads that really surprised me and how much I loved and how I got locked in, and I think I've mentioned this on social media, is Pink and Habanero Volume 2. Now, if you see my review of Volume 1 of Goodreads, you might be like, well, Laura, you gave it 5 stars. What are you talking about, woman? Like, is there some kind of problem? No, not necessarily, but I was not a fan of Kai here. I think it's his name. I was not or excuse me, Kurose. I don't know who I'm thinking about, but our male lead here, I did not like his attitude in the first volume. I really struggled with it. His sister was his saving grace, and I said I'm gonna give Volume 2 a chance, and I'm so glad I did. There are times, you know, when you need a backstory, just telling you this is why this character acts this way, and it was exactly what I needed. And I just was like, everything you do makes so much more sense. And I'm like, I'm locked in. I loved everything about this. I loved the disagreement he had with his friends, and how Mugi here, she's fantastic as a heroine. She was fantastic as before. I had no issues with her. But you're even seeing her take these smaller steps to being braver, speaking her mind like to her best friend just about lipstick was everything. I love that for her. But also going back to the guy's friends of when they're like, do you want to know what happened? Why he acts this way with girls? And she's like, wait, no, I don't want to know. I mean, yes, I want to know, but she's like, I want him to be the one that tells me and not you. I want to hear it from his lips. And I said, girl, let's go, girl, let's go. That's what I'm talking about. I really, really like that. Though I will say her newish friend that she had made was horrible. Or at least what she did. Maybe she's fine as a person, but the things that she did, that was a no-go. And I was really heartbroken for her. And so, yeah, I'm glad. I hope we don't see much of her again, because I'm not happy with that girl. And I know I'm not going to like her from this point on, even if there's trying to make me like her at some point. But yes, I am locked in with this series. I loved it. I really actually struggled if this was my favorite read of this month, because I was so surprised in how I came in very iffy if I was going to like continue to get volumes. And then I just, how the storytelling was, how everything unfolded was perfect. It was very, very well done, and I loved it. Sorry, I don't know how else to say without going to spoilers, but just know this is definitely a series I'm going to keep reading because it's a lot of fun, and I'm really here to see how both of these leads are going to grow individually, but also hopefully together as a couple eventually soon. The next one is a condition called Love Volume 11, and what is there to say? Every volume is emotional. Every volume is phenomenal. The storytelling keeps getting better and better, and I was really unsure of what was going to happen next. Obviously, some healing needed to happen for Hotaru, what Hanoni did in the previous volume, and Hotaru is doing what she can to get the closure that I think she personally needs. But with Hanoni, where do they stand? What do they do? And Hanoni has some of the best growth in this series yet. He is always growing, but I really love how he's starting to realize he cannot fully depend on Hotaru to be the only person that he goes to, whether it be about good things or whether it be about bad things. He just can't. It's not healthy. And he takes these words that he overhears sort of addressing that, and he begins to take action in small ways. Honestly, they're small, but they're really big for him. And I was so incredibly proud of him when he tells Hotaru, like, hey, before we come back and talk about everything, can you give me a little bit more time? Even though at that moment we see Hotaru is fully ready to be back and talk about things, and she's shocked and she misses him. But it was the time they need to see Hanoni make the actions that he does, and leading up to Hanoni and Hotaru having such a great conversation. I definitely cried. I definitely cried. It was very good. Highly, highly recommend. The series has gotten better and better and better. Sorry, I saw the UPS truck outside, but I didn't see him come to my house, I don't think. So I'm like, did he go to my neighbor's? He's driving off. I should be expecting a package. But anyway, the next one, or I should say next three, because I did do a first impression on them, so I'm not going to talk too much about them, but Choking on Love, worth the hype, phenomenal. I'm going to tell you about why I'm struggling about if this is the ultimate favorite read of this month or something else that I read. I also read volume 1 of My Contract with the Apothecary Monster. Very good. Had a little bit of struggle with the world building and just how intense and info dumpy it was, but I'm going to get volume 2 because I love the characters. The characters are phenomenal, and I definitely talked more about that. And of course, I talked about volume 1 of The Two Perfect Saint, the manga. Really, really enjoyed this as well. It was a very wonderful first impression. If I had to choose an order, maybe I shouldn't say, but if I had to choose an order from like favorite to not my favoriteest of favorites, Choking on Love was definitely my favorite. I mean, it was perfection in every single way, and I went in mainly blind, and I loved it. I was so thankful that I gave into the hype and checked it out, because it's definitely going to be in my top 25 favorites. No doubts. The Two Perfect Saint would be the next one, because I just, how the first 2 chapters were and how our main girl was treated, I was really scared if I could even finish this. But the change of direction and cheering for her, of wanting her happiness, was perfection. Plus, we have sisterly love, and I'm like, thank you. We need more healthy sister relationships, and we have that represent. And then the, Contract with the Apothecary Monster, which again was good. I loved it. I just wish that world building wasn't as intense as it was. The characters are so much fun, and I'm like, I'm here for you. And I think that the world building and knowing about the world and that extra info dump is helpful, but I just wanted the characters. So I do have volume 2 on pre-ordered, because saw reviews saying there was a change of things. It's not seeming to be as world buildy, info dumpy, and I'm like, okay, I want to keep reading and see where it goes, and I hope that's true, and I deeply love it, even more than I love this one. This is where I struggle of saying what was my favorite read of February, because Choking on Love, when we talk about the most exciting thing that I read, Choking on Love by far was number 1, and then Pink and Habanero would be quick and easy second, because I was squealing again. It was everything that I was hoping for. But if we talk about one that I read, and I just couldn't stop thinking about, to the point where I've had a mini reading slump, because I'm like, I don't want anything else. I want to be back with these characters. Then it would be this. So let me know down below which you think would be my favorite read then, because I don't really know how to judge this, and I haven't made a decision on my graphic yet. I think I put something there just as a placeholder, but I was like, I don't know if this is official. But I read volumes 1 through 6 of Though I Am an Inept, Villainess, the tale of the butterfly rat body swap in the Maiden Court. I do have a video review coming of this, which I mentioned in Monday's video, because I shared a free February, a free March digital calendar that you can download, that the creator and, or I think it was the creator and the artist had shared. I loved it, and I haven't used it because I haven't changed my actual phone screensaver since I got my phone, and I've had it for 2 years. I don't expect I'll be changing it just yet, but I love this manga. I don't want to say too much about it because I do have a video review coming, and I really hope that the video review does this series justice, but it was so different than I expected, I think, because I tried out chapter 1 in store several years ago when volume 1 had just came out, and I was not overly hooked on it at the time, and I have since learned that just when it comes to political reads like this, or things like in the palace court politic intrigue, that I need at least 2 chapters, because the politics just go over my head. I'm not here for that. I'm here for the characters. So I know that's a me issue, and shout out to my friend Zoe, Dragon Ball Zoe on Instagram, because she had shared, and on YouTube, I'll leave her channel in the corner if I can, or down below. Definitely check it out. And so after she shared about it, I came back to the series and I loved it. And so I binge bought all 6 volumes, but this time I made sure to try, I think I tried preview that you can see on Amazon for the first 3 volumes, and then yeah, I think that was what I had tried, or maybe I tried further. But anyway, I tried it and I loved it. It was a slow read for me throughout the month of February, in the sense I didn't actively binge read it the way I wanted to, where I like read up one volume one day, then the next day, and till I finish it. But when I finished it, and after I did my video review, I just felt really sad. And I feel like it's a weird thing to say because I loved it. Like, this is one of the, I'm hesitant to say one of the best Villainess manga I've read. It's definitely the first body swap that I've read, I'm pretty sure. But there was something so inspiring about our main female lead, Reiren, though she is in the other body. This isn't actually her body, but the actual female lead, where she was so courageous and inspiring and brave and daring. And there were just so many times I felt myself being very emotional because she's the kind of heroine you want to read about, at least for me, where they challenge you as a person, as a real human being, to change how you see the world around you and be thankful. In this case, be thankful for my health, even though at the time I have been sick when I was reading. And I will say that that leads to say, for the actual Villainess character, I could never hate her, despite the things that she did of trying to push our or not try, she does push our female lead off of a balcony, trying to injure her, and just not very kind in the beginning. I never could bring myself to hate her, because there's a scene, I think it was in volume 2 or in volume 3, where she just talks about the struggle with her body and it not doing what she wants, because Reiren is actually a really frail young woman who is consistently sick, has fevers. Kagetsu, I believe is how you say her name, the villain, when they have this body swap, she thinks her life is going to be better because she's in the body of the butterfly of the palace, who everybody loves and adores. But it wasn't that simple. It was not what she thought it would be. Meanwhile, you have our heroine who is thriving in this villainous body and living her best life. And so I truly hope that when I post that video review that I do it justice, because this series deeply shocked me and surprised me. And again, just even now, I'm still sad that I'm caught up with the physical manga volumes. I know there's the light novel, but this is such a strong, what feels like a strong manga adaptation, that I'm content to just be manga only. I love all the characters, except for the prince. No, I'm sorry. I don't hate his guts, because he learned some lessons by the end of volume 6, so I don't hate him, but I ain't a fan of him either. And I will say, this is not necessarily a romantic series. I mean, there's some moments where, I'm definitely shipping our main girl with this guy right here. Oh, yes, I am. I'm shipping really hard. But it's not romantic focused at all. It's very much focused on friendships, and Reiren is the ultimate fictional BFF. I mean, she's the BFF you want for life. She is amazing. So please look forward to that review. I can't recommend this series enough. It was just so well done in every single way. There was never a moment that I was like, oh, I'm really bored. No, there was one volume I think I gave 4 stars because it wasn't centered on our 2 girls here. All the others I gave them 5. I loved it. I think almost all of my favorite quotes that I wrote in my reading journal were in fact from this series. So many good lines. I took so many photos of pages. Just phenomenal in every single way, and definitely will be eagerly looking forward to more volumes. And I'm trying really hard to get some merch of these girls, because I'm I need them represented in my collection. Not just the physical manga, but I need something. Highly recommend. Can't wait to share more on that later this month. Next up, I read The Ice Guy and the Cool Girl Volume 9. Let me tell you, if you read Volume 8, then you know that was a cliffhanger, and you probably like me, you're like, what? What kind of mess is this? This is a fluffy series, and we have something like this? It felt unheard of and out there for this series, I never would have guessed. But let me tell you something, read Volume 9. As soon as Volume 9 came, I did read it ASAP that day. I was I need answers. Oh, it was perfect. It took what happened in Volume 8 and addressed it quickly. We had resolution. We had good things happening, and I was thriving. And I was yes. Everything about this volume was so very good. I'm really, really excited for the new developments we have. Let's just say, if you've been waiting for it, that time is coming, and you need to read Volume 9 ASAP. It is good. It is worth it. I love it, and I can't wait for the next volume. I have been talking about, since the beginning of this year that I was going to read this. Late to the party on reading it, but I read it, and that is Volume 2, Tengu's Love. And let me just say, this is a sequel that is worthy to its prequel. I think I said that weird, but it's worthy to the first volume. Very strong second volume. I loved it. I loved it. It had everything and more. I don't know what I was expecting or hoping for, except for I wanted more shenanigans. And, you know, I felt like I should have thought, well, yeah, I definitely thought it's gonna have all the fun shenanigans. We love it. We love our female lead. We're thriving. It's great. It's wonderful. But I didn't expect that, and that's what I should have expected, that when it came to our male lead, man, when he shared his fears, like his biggest fear that he has, it hit me in my heart. It hit me so strongly. And I'm like, this is another manga where I saw myself in a character where I'm like, your fear is the exact same fear that I have. That fear of being alone. Everyone you love will be gone. They will leave you, whether that's because of a passing or if that's just them walking away. Like, I get that. Like, when my dad passed away when I was really young, I still have coping mechanisms that today, that if people aren't where they say they are, that I care about, that I love, whether that be friend or family, I fall into this really weird, upsetting spiral that I'm like, I know it comes back from that time. And he had a traumatic moment in his life as well. And I was like, I get it, buddy. Like, I fully get it. And so it was sort of an emotional read for me to see a character that I identified so much with and seeing myself in him. I really, really loved it. Again, it has all those fun shenanigans. And if you're here for that, you are going to get that. But if you're also wanting that deeper theme that I think was sort of prevalent in Volume 1 that we see later towards the end, you're going to love this. You're going to love this manga. It is wonderful, and especially with this volume, it was everything, and I'm really excited to see what happens next in Volume 3. I actually went and looked on, I don't know, it's an official Japanese, maybe it was Comic Walker, but I know it's an official Japanese website, seeing like if there were any new chapters, and there was, because this volume goes up to chapter 12. And on Comic Walker, just last month, I think they posted chapter 17. And I was like, oh, we're really close to having a physical volume or enough chapters to be in a physical volume. So yes, really love this. I'm glad that I didn't like force myself to read this sooner. I definitely had wanted to, but it really felt like a pivotal time for me. It was very comforting and deeply, deeply loved it. And last but not least, this was not my favorite read either. I hope I can do it justice. And that is Helena and Mr. Big Bad Wolf. This is a newer release from Empress. And I want to start off saying this book was not for me. I feel strongly, like I fully believe that this series has a strong place in people's lives and that it is needed. I feel that it wasn't quite for me because I'm not in that same place. I felt like I could relate a lot more to Mr. Big Bad Wolf than I could Helena, because I think this is a great manga to read if you are I would say a creative, yes, but specifically if you are a writer / artist and you have been struggling and you are just crippled by self-doubt. And that self-doubt could come out in the form of anger, it could come out in the form of depression, it could come out in the form of berating yourself, or it could be all three of them, not just one of those. I really strongly feel you're going to relate to Mr. Big Bad Wolf. While this is a volume one of 2-volume series, I think just seeing his struggle in this one is going to be deeply encouraging for people. With Helena, her story was really heartbreaking, and I was really angry at one point with the parental figures in her life and how they handled a situation that I get where they're coming from in a parental role. Like, I fully get it, but it doesn't make it right. I did not agree with the decision that they made. And so it made the ending, in my opinion, actually quite scary when it comes to her specifically. And I really don't know what's going to happen next. I don't know if I'm going to get volume 2. I'm unsure of that, but I can say I want to know what happens next and hope that I can convince somebody in my library to get it, or somebody does a purchase request, since I can't do that since I'm out of county. I hope that somebody does, because I feel like I hope that there's going to be hope at the end of this series. And you can really see, like, one thing that I did really love about this volume is how when you are struggling, regardless of age, though probably in regards to this story, when you're a younger age, that fiction can become reality. It can replace the heartbreak, the pain, the questioning, the lack of understanding of why things are happening, and bring you joy, bring you, even if it's the briefest of freedoms, it can bring you relief from those questions of not understanding why, of the hardships that you were going through. And I think that was a very powerful thing of seeing how powerful Helena's imagination was and how it was just more than just art. It was more than just telling a story for the sake of telling it because you just want to have fun. It had such greater purpose for her in her life. And so seeing her interact with Mr. Big Bad Wolf was a very powerful at moments. It's just this, I think, was a sadder read than I expected, and it did not feel, I wouldn't say as feel good of a story as I was anticipating, but it also didn't really feel like it read just for fictional entertainment purpose either, if that makes sense. And I think that's where I felt that this wasn't for me, because the struggles that the characters are having, I think they're very, very real. And I want them to find hope and healing and deep satisfaction in what they do, but also of, how do I word this? Of I want them to also find healing with one another, not just them having breakthroughs in their art and their creative life. I want them to have it for themselves as an individual, regardless if they continue to draw or they draw even more. So again, I think this is a strong read. It was not for me, but I feel like, again, this is a story that could resonate with many people and bring comfort and hope. And I just, hopefully it will end on a really positive note, because this, if it doesn't, I feel like this would be a really devastating series and I would change my recommendation, because I need to see good things happen for these characters by the end. I don't know exactly all of what that looks like, but I definitely know that's what I need. So hopefully that still ends this video on a strong note. You can see I loved so many different things. Really hard to say again what was my favorite read, so let me know what would you say is your favorite read? Would it be the one you couldn't stop thinking about that led to even a mini reading slump, or would it be the one that was like had you on cloud nine? I mean, both reasons are valid, but I'm like, what do I put on my graphic for when I go, next year to say these are my top 12 favorite reads of 2025? Help a friend out. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching. Bye!